Well, hello, hello, hello. Another beautiful Tuesday for conversations with Dr. Els. And hope you are doing well today. We're looking forward for a conversation today again. And we hope that you will be on having a great time. We had a great conversation, yes, last Tuesday, that is. We had a great conversation last Tuesday, and we're looking forward for another great conversation this Tuesday. So I want you to tell someone, hey, Conversations with Dr. Els is on, and share this broadcast, share this conversation. We are on live on Caribbean Gospel Jam. We are on live on our Facebook page, and great things are happening for 2022. We have been talking about setting our goals and achieving our goals. We have been focusing on how do we follow through on our goals, and that's what we want to continue to do. As usual, we shout out our family here on Conversations with Dr. L. So, hi, Avanel. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Pastor Gibson, great having you locked on. And it's really a good time for you guys to be on. We're looking forward to wrap up this conversation. So remember, share this conversation. We are on Caribbean Gospel Jam TV. We are on. So, guys, get to those who are usually on this conversation and let them know we have started some Conversations with Dr. Els is on. It's a beautiful day here in Barbados. It's Tuesday, the 18th of January. And in Barbados, in a matter of less than 24 hours, the nation will be going to the polls to elect new government, and new in the sense of whether they're returning the previous government, or they're going to put in a new one. And so we will see what's happening. Okay, we will see. All right, we getting some feedback. We will see what's happening in terms of tomorrow night. By this time tomorrow night, we will see what is happening. But it's really great having you guys locked on. Great having you, Patrick, locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Again, remember you can share this broadcast, share this conversation. We have been talking, as I said, about your goals and follow through. And I want to just remind us early of some of the things that we have coming up, our Conversations with Dr. Els. This year we're hoping to have a bit more persons on the live stream. And so we're looking to have persons like Pastor Gibson and others on the live stream when we do conversations. We're looking forward to have some great times and some great topics. All right, so we're looking forward to see you. Remember, you can share this conversation. We are also looking forward to be on our Roku channel. We are looking forward for our online TV. Our online TV is coming up soon, and it's going to be streaming online on online TV at KLN Network, and also on your Roku channel. So if you have a Roku channel, Conversations with Dr. Els will be coming soon on that. And we're looking forward for these great things. Remember also, I said this year, we're looking forward to have a seminar on the biblical foundation of Egypt and from a biblical perspective. And we're going to have a biblical Egyptologist who is going to share with us. There's going to be a small contribution for that. And so we're looking forward for that happening. Okay, let me just say hi to Jackie. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And indeed, great things are happening. 2022 is a year of increase, and we start seeing that. And I pray increase on your life also. Hello, Irene. We missed you last week. It's great to have you on Conversations with Dr. Els. And so we have been, and we are talking about our goals. We are talking about following through on the resolutions that you have made or the goals that you have made. And so we're looking forward for that. Deswin, hi. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Remember, we said from our first conversation, this our third conversation for the year, we started looking at making resolutions, and we said that there are persons who stop making resolutions because every year they make resolutions and they're not able to follow through on their resolutions. And there are some who will tell you, don't make resolutions all you because you're not able to follow through on your resolution. But here is what I encourage you to do. Continue to make those goals. Continue to dream and dream big, right? The Bible says God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, all that we imagine. God is able to do greater than that. So keep dreaming, keep making your goals, keep making your resolutions. And so, one of the things that affected persons from continuing to make those resolutions, continuing to plan and to have their goals is the fact that they have not been able to follow through. And we said that it is important that you follow through. If you are going to see the realization of your dreams or your goals, you've got to follow through. Remember, faith and works go hand in hand. And so while you pray and while you believe God to help you to follow through on your to get your dreams into reality, there are things that you need to do and things that you need to do in order to see your dreams come to fruition. And therefore, God will help you as you work on bringing your dreams to fruition. Again, God is able to help you. Faith in God, God is able to help you. But God says that we need to do certain things, all right? So that's what we are talking about in our conversation today. We're saying that, hey, you have to follow through on your dreams. You have to follow through on your goals. You have to be able to follow through on what you believe that God wants to do. And some of you have a book to release this year. You have a book to release this year. Follow through. All right, follow through on that, and you would see God working in your life, being able for you to have that book to release. Many of us do have things to do. So we started saying that in terms of follow through, we use the illustration of the cricket, right? Many of us, we know cricket. I see somebody smiling about the book release. All right. We talk about cricket, and we said in order to make a good shot, whether it's straight down the ground, whether it's a four, however it is important that the batsman follow through. All right, you follow through with your shot. That's what's been taught, and it is said that once you follow through with your shot, it is helpful. And following through means also that you keep your eyes on the ball, keep your eyes on your shot, and therefore, in the same way, if we are to realize our goals, we must keep our eyes on our goals. We must be focused. And one of the things that would help us to follow through is not becoming distracted. Last week and the week before, some of the encouragements that you would have received from our conversations family is that in order for you to realize those, you must be intentional. Okay, and being intentional means that you must know what you're doing and work towards it. You can't just aim at nothing. You have to be intentional. So if your goal is to lose 10 pounds, then you have to be intentional in either going to the gym, either go walking or running, changing your diet, also or buying exercise equipment or something like that. So it's important that you be intentional. You can't just say, okay, I want to lose 10 pounds, and by a magic wand, it's going to happen. Okay. Also, it was said last week that you must make smart goals. Okay. You can't make goals like I want to lose 20 pounds in one day when you know you're not going to do anything about that. So you have to make smart goals. So your goals must be specific, and we use the word smart, specific. Your goals must be measurable. So being specific and using the idea of weight. I don't know why I'm using that, but let's just use that. Using the idea of losing weight, you have to be specific. So I want to lose 5 pounds by March this year. Okay, so that's a specific goal. It has to be measurable. All right. So can I measure me losing 10 pounds by March this year? Yes, you can measure that. So either weekly or monthly, by the time you get to March, you should be able to see that you weigh on the scale or such. You can feel it in terms of your clothes and such like that. So you being it must be measurable. All right. It must also be attainable. Okay, you don't try to do something that you know you know that it can't happen. All right. And if the Lord is speaking to you about weight today, just please obey. Okay, please obey. All right. And I'm sure you are loved even in any way. I know for sure that that is happening. All right. But the thing is, you have to be specific. You have to, it has to be measurable, it has to be attainable. It's not something that you can't attain. Don't make goals that you know that you're not going to be able to make it. You know that you can't attain it. All right. And it must also be realistic. Okay, make realistic goals. It must be realistic and time bound. So those are that's some of the things that was shared in terms of smart goals, right? Also, it was also shared that you must work on time management. So you have to be able to manage your time. Remember, we talk about juggling stuff. You know, many of us have a lot of things to do, and so we juggle from one thing to another, and we have to be careful that we don't drop the most important things. All right, as we juggle things, we have to be careful we don't drop the most important things. So we have to be able to manage our time. Enough time for sleep, um, enough time for work, enough time for play, and enough time to say no to certain things. All right, because the challenge many of us have is that we are not able to say no to certain things, and those things can be legitimate things. Those things can be things that you really want to help with, right? You really want to be able to do something or help someone, but you can't do it for everybody. You can't make it for everybody. So what happened is that you have to manage your time, work and manage your time. You can't expect to be productive if you are sleeping for the entire day. As a matter of fact, in the book of Genesis, God worked 6 day and rest one. Many people want to rest 6 days and work one. If you do that, you are not going to be productive. Okay? If you do that, you're not going to be productive. So you have to be able to manage your time. So as in terms of managing your time, you set aside time to do what you have to do. So like writing the book, and I'm speaking that because I'm speaking that into me. I have several that I need to complete also. Writing your book, be intentional about your writing, and be intentional. I would take, let's say, 10 minutes a day, and I'll write a line or two or such like that. So you're being intentional, right? And you can get it done, right? Very important that we make baby steps, because one of the things that we try to do, and we're going to talk about that in a while, is to jump forward. Okay, we also said last week that we must evaluate at every step. Evaluate at every step. And when we evaluate, we are evaluating not so much comparing with somebody else, but comparing ourselves, first of all, as Christians, with what God says, and two, with what our goals are. So we evaluate, are we making enough? Are we making enough progress? And as somebody say, yes, baby steps are still steps. Okay, are we making enough progress? Are we doing what we're supposed to do to get to where we need to go? Right? So, in terms of follow through, and I'll pick up on this, making small steps. All right? Making small steps. So, baby steps, yes, they are small steps. You know, let me, as usual, let we have some comments coming up here. Sometimes you might not be able to follow through. You might have to make a slight adjustment depending on how the ball is swinging. All right, and that's someone who knows cricket also in terms of that. But you are reaching your goal. The idea of follow through is to reach your goal. So even if you have to make some slight adjustment in your batting, it is progress. It's adjusting. All right, depends on how the ball swing. You adjust to it, but the idea is, because for every batsman, the idea is to be able to score every ball, or to make sure you stop the ball from hitting your wicket. So that's the goal. When you use the idea of cricket, that's your goal. And depend on how the ball goes, you have to make that adjustment. And that is going to come when we talk a bit about obstacles also. But in dealing with small steps, as you move, I always say it is better for you to have 1% growth, 1% growth regularly, than to have 15% growth today and tomorrow you fall back 20%. So you are really, mathematically, you're really not achieving anything. Okay, but when you follow through, when you have small steps, when you move along, and you are growing increasingly, you can look back and say, after a while, you look back and say, hey, this is where I came from. I didn't realize that I'm this far, because the steps, the baby steps, the small steps may not look like you're getting anywhere, but you are progressing. All right, you are progressing, and after a while you can look back and say, hey, I have come this far with these baby steps. Okay, and we've got to understand, we are doing this because we are intentionally seeking to fulfill our resolutions or reaching our goals. And so, important, small, as a matter of fact, in all of life, growth should be in such a way that we make steps. And even as Christians, let's just look at that from a general standpoint. Even growing in your Christian life, it's important that you make steps. You make small steps. Yes, we tend to frustrate ourselves. We tend to frustrate ourselves trying to make really big goals. I was saying to the church, we spent a week in prayer and fasting, and I was saying to the church, one of the things that you can do in prayer is set some small times. So, I gave the example, you have like 15 minutes power prayer. Okay, and you set your alarm for 15 minutes. And when 15 minutes finish, you might be finished then, or you might go on. But the idea is I set my time for 15 minutes and I'm able to make that 15 minutes and I feel accomplished. Or I can go over that 15 minutes and I feel accomplished. But if I set my time for 2 and 3 hours and I'm frustrated because I did not make those 2 or 3 hours, right? And then the next day I decide I am not going to do this because I can't make it. But if you're seeing yourself that you are walking through your 15 minutes, and then you can gradually add, and that's in a general way. That's the example that I use. It is the same when we talk about our goals. When we talk about following through and realizing our goals, we are saying that if we take small steps, we can get to where we need to go. So don't try to write an entire chapter in one day if you're not able to do that. Maybe one paragraph is good enough for the day. The other thing that we need to know, we can look, is to write down your why. I believe that if we are to really follow through on our goals, if we are to achieve them, we need to know our why, and we need to write our whys down. Why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? We know, as Christians, we talk about Habakkuk writing the vision down. It's the same, it goes across the board. When you write things down, you write your goals, you're able to see them, you're able to visualize them, you're able to read them, okay? Um, it means that when you write down your why, you have an idea in the back of your mind. I am doing this because. All right. So even if it is one line a day, it's okay. All right. But yeah, very important that you write down your why, or you know your why. I have often asked my children, or or other persons, when they say they want to do something, why are you doing it? Why do you really want to do this? Is it because somebody else is doing it? Is it because it's a trend around? Is it because you just feel that you want to be a part of the crowd or something like that? No, you have to know, you must know your why, and your why is going to help you to realize your goals. Your why is going to help you to get to the end, all right? To get to the end of the line. Your why is going to help you. So write down your why. So let me ask you, whatever your goal, whatever your plans, whatever your resolutions are, over the first few months of the year, or probably from since last year, why have you visited your why? I've said to persons, I was walking with a friend, had a discussion with a friend who is looking to do his doctorate. All right. And I said to him that I am looking to do something else, because I am into education and such like that. And I'm looking at doing something else. And my friend was like, but why do you want to do something else? You have your doctorate, you have your PhD and such like that. And he has his, right? But he said, the only reason I am doing this is because what I have is not recognizable in certain area, and in my profession I need something that is fully accredited and such like that. And I had to say to him, you know, my why is not to have another degree or another title or something like that, but my why is because my core value, one of my core values is lifelong learning. And so I do things to acquire knowledge, to learn, to be a better me. So if it means that I want another doctorate, if I have the finances, or a bachelor's, or a certificate program, or a master's, or whatever, it is not so much of having the title that you have a master's or you have a doctorate or so. It is for me knowledge, and gaining knowledge to be as much of a rounded person that I can be. So I'm using that example to say to you, whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is, you need to have your why in place, and you need to know your why. You need to write down your why. All right. And so does anyone have their whys? Does anyone know their why? Do you know your why? Do you know why you want to do this thing? Do you know have that written down? So in order for you to follow through, you have to know your why. All right. Thank you. Knowledge versus accolades. All right. And that is what it is to me. Why should be a key focus in your goals, and that's conforming. Remember, this is a conversation, so we are all talking. All right. Why should be your goal, and therefore you must know your why if you are going to really realize your goal. You keep focus. Your why is going to help you, because the next thing that I want to share, which flows into writing down or knowing your why, is to remove obstacles. All right. If you know your why, you are going to be able to remove the obstacles, the things that get into your way, the things that would stop your why. Okay. So what you need to do in order to follow through on your goal, in order to reach in order for you to reach your goals, you have to remove the obstacles. Okay. Somebody say, I know my why, but I think I need to stick to it. I need to stick it up where I can see it daily. And very, very true. Important. If you see, you understand the eyes are the window to the soul, is said. And if you see things and your mind is seeing them, and it's there, it's gonna help you to go get through, right? It's gonna help you to get through. So you need to know your why, and you need to be able to write your why down. That is why the Bible said in Habakkuk, write the vision down. You see, when you write your vision down, you can get rid of the extra things. Sometimes there are extra trimmings that you have, that you want to do, that you want to get done, and they're really not so important to your why, but they just look good or sound good. And therefore, if you have your why written down, then you are able to get rid of those trimmings, right? And as I said here, sometimes you can forget and lose momentum. So if you have your why written down, it will help you to keep that momentum. It will help you to keep going. It will help you to see. You know what some people do? They write their goals and their vision. They write them all over the place. As a matter of fact, this is one of the way that God said to Israel to teach the word to the children. They were supposed to write them on the doorposts. They're supposed to write them on necklaces, on their hands, bangles, or whatever. So there is something about seeing it. There is something about visualizing it. There is something about being able to look at it that would help you to follow through on your goal. And so as we get to December 31st this year, we want to be able to look back and say, yes, I have achieved. And if your goal is something that would take more than a year, you still need to be able to, by December 31st, say, yes, I have gotten this far. All right. And so it's really something that is important. I just want to say hi to those who are viewing via our YouTube channel. All right, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Thank you for being a part of this. So we need to be able to understand our why, write down our why, so that it remove the obstacles, it remove the trimmings, and that goes for every aspect of our life, in our relationships, in our studies, in our employment, in our businesses. We need to be able to do that. Very important. Write the vision down. Okay, so and you remove the obstacles, and obstacles sometimes are persons, right? There are times that persons who might be your friends, but they are obstacles to your goals, and you will have to set them aside. As hard as it may be, you may have to set them aside. So what do? You say, hey, I am focusing on this, and just need either a break here, or I'm not going to be able to chat with you as much as possible. I'm not going to be able to WhatsApp you every 15 minutes like I used to do, or so, because I need to take this time to focus on my goal. I need to take this time to focus on what I want to achieve. And remember, sometimes there are people who kill your dreams. And so you have to remove those obstacles. All right. Um, and while here's a question: can obstacles help us remain focused? Well, if you're looking at it in the sense that when the obstacles come, you are able to be focused. Let me put it this way. We look at the obstacles. So, and this is why it's very important to have your why written down, to have your goals written down, so that if you know where you're going, when the obstacle comes, you're able to remove them, and that, in that sense, will help you to keep focused, because you know where you're going. In other words, you are going to be able to recognize those obstacles. And so, from that standpoint, yes, you can say it could help you to remain focused if you are able to first recognize that there are obstacles, and so that you remove them out of your way. But in other words, you can't have, and remember, an obstacle is something that blocks your progress. So in order for you to go forward, in order for you to progress, if there's an obstacle in your way, you have to get rid of that obstacle. And getting rid of that obstacle may mean, where we go back to the illustration of, depending on how the ball is swinging, you adjust. Getting rid of the obstacle means that you may have to adjust. So it doesn't mean, for example, use a simple example. If you are on a journey, so you're walking this road and there's a stone in the road, there's an obstacle in the road. You don't necessarily have to lift the stone and move it out of the road, because you may not be able to do that, but you can pass around it. Okay, but you still know that you're going where you're going. So what you do, you pass around the obstacle. Otherwise, you may just hit your foot on the obstacle, on the stone, and then you are not going to get to where you are getting. And let me also say, remember, in your goals, a setback is does not mean that that's the end of it. There's a saying that I love, that every setback is an opportunity for a comeback. So if there's an obstacle and you're set back, because you know your why, then you can still go forward. All right, so let's share the comments. You can channel the obstacle to drive you. You can see it more as an opportunity for growth, as opposed to seeing it to cause you to regress. And in that way, the obstacle is helping you to remain focused. Because when you see it and you recognize it, then you are able to say, hey, this is an obstacle. I am not going to be conquered by it. I'm going to conquer it. I'm not going to cause this to stop me, and it's going to give me the drive to go forward. All right. So yes, in that sense, the obstacle can really help you to remain focused. The other thing that I want to talk about is that you must plan, 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 plan. If you're going to realize your goal, you must have a plan. You know, if you don't, if you fail to plan, I think that's what the saying is. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, in order for you to reach your goals, in order for you to follow through, you must have a plan. Okay. And again, just like your why, knowing your why, writing down your vision, you must write down your plan. Okay. In order, so you know the steps. Okay. You know the steps. I have this plan. This is what I need to do now. This is what I'll do later. This I'll do for 10 minutes. This for 15 minutes. So you have a plan. This is what I'm going to do to get to the end of the road. All right. And so, very important that we need to plan. Okay. We need to have that plan written down. Okay. And as we plan, it will help us through in our purpose. Right. And there are a lot more that we can talk about. But the final thing that I want to just say is we must be disciplined. We must be disciplined. And I think this is probably one of the greater, if not the greatest challenge that many of us face in being able to follow through on our goals, being able to really realize our dreams and our goals, the discipline aspect. You see, as a student, you don't want to, you want to have A in maths, or you want to have your best grade in maths. You want to pass maths at CXC and such like that. You can't expect that if you are not practicing, then that you would pass. I mean, some people may just have that way of being able to understand things. But the point is, you have to be disciplined. You can't just playing football. You can go around doing everything, and you're not in the library studying. Don't just take this comment. Sometimes, some people might not realize that an obstacle is an obstacle. Then there is a challenge. If you don't realize the obstacle, you are always going to be beaten by your obstacle. So here's what. This is where the setback and the comeback is important. So if you have an obstacle and you're beaten by that obstacle, the second time around you should not be able to. Or if you fall, you get back up. So we say the second time around, but the second time around doesn't necessarily mean literally second, because like the Bible says, the righteous fall 7 times, but they get back up again. So if you fall, if you don't realize there's an obstacle and you fall, you need to come to realization that, hey, this is an obstacle. And so that you outgrow that obstacle and you move on. Okay, so that's important, that you recognize what the obstacle is. And in terms of discipline, yep, somebody said discipline is the most challenging part. Discipline is the most challenging part. And therefore, it's very important. Discipline is essential aspect of achieving goals. And that's why I want to finish with this. Okay, it is essential aspect of achieving your goals. It is important. You see, because one of the things that discipline we need to understand is that At times, if we're disciplined, we need to delay gratification. All right. So the challenge many of us have is that while we are not disciplined, is that we are not able to delay gratification. So we want to have fun now. We want to do things now, right? When we can look at, okay, if I am able to achieve my goal now, then later I can have all the funds all the fun, sorry, that I am wishing that I can have now, or that my mind, my body is telling me to have now. So I want to do all these things, but I have a goal. In reaching your goals, you must be disciplined. So you have to set the time, you have to write down the why, you have to evaluate, and you have to constantly doing that. And one of the ways that can help you to do that is to have someone, have a buddy, have someone alongside you. You know, one of the reasons why many of us fail to achieve our goals is that we don't have anyone to push us, or we don't have anyone to be accountable to, and such like that. And in some cases, it's really frightening to have persons be accountable to, or to have persons pushing us, or have persons to talk to, because we do know that certain things we can't, we are afraid to talk to people about, because instead of they seeing it in a positive light to push you forward, they would see it in a negative light. But it's very important that we discipline ourselves, okay? So we have to make sure, there's a poem that talks about the heights that great men reach and kept was not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, keep toiling in the night. That is discipline. All right. Okay. I remember a friend tell me at West, I spend too much time in the library. I am not having fun. But not, I can have all my fun without anybody on my back. Oh, but not I. I can have all my fun with, and you see, I don't know what was the outcome of that, but I'm sure you are satisfied with the knowledge that you've gained being in the library that often. And I'm not sure how much your friend would have gained from their studies, or even their grades. But that's how it is. There are persons who will come alongside you and tell you, hey, why are you studying so much? Why are you doing this? You have to be disciplined enough to know why you are doing it. All right. And you have to be able to delay the gratification. So while your friend might be on the court playing basketball or something like that, you are in the library and you're gaining the knowledge that will make you a better person, will make you a better leader. And so this is important that we understand that. Let's be disciplined. All right. Let's be disciplined in achieving our goals. Fall you may. Remember that. Fall you may. Setbacks you may have. But remember, don't stay there. Being a disciplined person is someone who say, I am not going to sit down. Even if I fall on my back, I'm getting up because I'm looking up. All right. I'm getting up and I'm going again. Let me just pause and say hi to my brother out there in New Jersey. Evan, great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. So, guys, remember, and if you don't remember these, if you need to be refreshed from time to time, you can just go back to conversations with Dr. Els, and look at and listen to, because these are some important key things that we need to remember and constantly be reminded of. Because you see, what happens with persons is that they remember these things early. They are excited about their goal. And when the pressure of life comes, maybe halfway through, then they forget. Then they get distracted. Then it's something else that they're doing or achieving. remember, if you're disciplined, you need to stay focused. Okay, and so remember, I'm looking forward for hearing the many of us saying we are able to achieve this during this year. We are able to achieve this goal. We are able to be a step further. In our goals and such like that, and so we have to be disciplined. We need to work through our goals, and I'm looking forward for that. So it's really been great having you on Conversations with Dr. Els. Remember, you can still share this conversation. You can invite someone to join our conversation. Remember, we have Conversations with Dr. Els Facebook group. You can share your goals there. You can share your accomplishments there. You can share your anything that you want to share there, something you're doing, something you're having, you can share in the group so that we can support each other. And also remember, we just reminding the seminar, I will give you the date as we kind of finally fine-tune stuff. We're looking forward, and I'm really excited about that. So get ready for that. Remember, Dr. Els is going to be Conversations with Dr. Els is going to be soon on internet TV and on Roku. So you can join me there. You can get the channel as soon as it's up. We will let you know. But it's really been great having you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And I'm looking forward for next week at 12 noon Atlantic Standard Time for another Conversations with Dr. Els, where we will dive into another exciting topic. All right. So, guys, whatever you do today, remember to add value to somebody's life. God bless you. This has been Conversations with Dr. Els, and have a blessed 2022. Until next week, have a great day.